All right, welcome to the show, the Total Financial Hour. I'm Arif M Halaby. Thanks for being with us. The Total Financial Hour is here every week at this time, helping you, hopefully, manage your money, plan for your retirement, get out of debt, make sure that you're not getting into financial trouble, but most importantly, enjoying your retirement years. For a lot of people, retirement years are sometimes even more stressful. Whether it be that, your friends and family are still working. For a lot of folks, it becomes a very lonely period of time. Depression is at near record numbers for seniors. You've seen it, especially when you have the shut-in scenario where folks don't really leave the house, and it's usually the second or third 10-year block of retirement, meaning, there's usually 3 phases of retirement. First years, 10 years or so, that's the go years, go years. Slow go years, slowing down a little bit, staying closer to home, that's usually the second 10-year window of time. In fact, I was with clients just yesterday, and I said, okay, so what do you want to do in retirement? Travel? They said, no, really, we've traveled everywhere we want to go. We've been to amazing countries. We've been all over the world. We're done. So they are in the slow go. They're both healthy. They're both active, and they are just interested in staying closer to home. Grandchildren when it's possible, but the grandchildren are teenage, late teens, early 20s. So they're just kind of trying to figure out, I'd like to garden, stay at home, go out and see things, go out and travel a little bit, but mostly close to home. The last 10 years of your life, it's really the medical times. It's the time when you generally need a little bit more care. You are more likely to be closer to that shut-in scenario where you just don't leave the house. So I want to caution you on a couple of things. If you have a loved one that's in that third phase of retirement, right? They're usually, pick 20 years plus 60 or 65. So usually they're in their 80s, maybe late 80s, early 80s, somewhere in that world. What happens? Well, they get to a place where they're generally, they don't leave. And the only way to answer some of that depression, some of that feeling lonely, is to buy things, right? Today, if you have any sort of internet skills, you can go online, shop for anything from an automobile to a car that is very unique, the Batmobile, from a house to a house trailer to a houseboat to shoes and socks, clothes, food items. Anything you want can be delivered to your home. Now, think of it this way. We once had a friend that couldn't find clothes that fit her. She was a plus-size lady, so she could never find the clothes that she thought made her look cute or were cute on her, whatever you guys look for. So for her, when she was going through kind of a funky time, a depression, for her it was buying accessories, specifically purses. So here's what she would do. She would buy a purse, you get an emotional high. Now, that's exciting, except one day her husband said, what are we doing with all these purses? So she started hiding them in the closet. By hiding them in the back of the closet, there's a little bit of shame and guilt that comes. So before he comes home from work, she hides them. Then what happens is she gets 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and then she donates them to various women's shelters and domestic violence programs, etc. So she would go through another phase of being happy and a euphoric feeling and a feeling of happiness with pride and just kind of like, look what I did. And then a few days, weeks, whatever goes by, and you start feeling bad again. And this cycle of spending money. Now listen, if you have the money to spend, it's your money. Spend it the way you want. If you don't, and you're going into debt, then you're going to be part of this statistic that I'm going to read to you in just a second, which is retirees, older Americans. Bankruptcy booms among older Americans. It's a New York Times article. For a rapidly growing share of older Americans with traditional ideas. Look, many of them, you would have asked them 20 years ago, they said, we never charge anything. I've never paid a dime in interest in my life. My parents taught me that if you can't buy it with cash, you don't buy it. We paid off our house early. Does that all sound familiar? It sounds like your parents or grandparents, maybe. You? But the signs of potential trouble, here it is. Your pension starts disappearing. Your savings accounts start reducing. Medical expense start to increase. And as soon as that happens and you have those habits of spending more money than you used to, just, that's fine. You had more than you needed before. No big deal. But today, no cost of living in a pension scenario. Today, you heard me mention to you about Northrop. A Northrop pension. Folks, a big company. A client received a letter that said, oh, remember a year ago? A year ago when we told you had a choice to take the $1.2 million cash pension or $7,500 a month? And when the client came to us, we did the math. I said, that's pretty good numbers. You might just want the $7,500 a month. It's up to you. But, I don't think I can beat that. That's a pretty darn good number. He looked it over, met with his CPA, met with his financial advisor, said, you know what? I'm going to take the $7,500 a month. Well, that's nice. Nearly a year later, he gets a letter in the mail that says, oh, hey, sorry about that. We made a mistake. So what do you mean you made a mistake? Oh, yeah, it's not $7,500 a month. It's $5,500 a month. And not only is it $5,500 a month, but you owe us $2,000 a month. So for the next year, we're going to take out $2,000 a month so that you could pay us back. Isn't that nice of him? Now here's the problem. Last month he was making $7,500 a month. Next month it's $3,500, right? Because they reduce it to $55, and then they take what they say he owes them. So in other words, he's going backwards. $3,500 a month. Now, if you don't have good financial habits, if you don't have other sources of income, if you haven't eliminated debt and you're in retirement, I don't mean all the way, but maybe close to it, and all of a sudden you have a $4,000 less pension, $4,000 less in income that's supposed to be, quote, guaranteed for the next 12 months, what do? So I want you to be very careful, because these are some big problems. And if that happens to you, you might say, oh, Arif, it's not going to happen to me. I have a city of, county of, state of pension. Oh, yeah. State of California, CalPERS, about a year ago, defaulted on its first pension. How do they do that? Well, it was only 3 employees, so don't worry about it. It's only 3 employees. 3 employees. A 77-year-old lady who said, I was supposed to receive, I think it was around $4,000 a month, and she's getting $1,700. So you need to be careful. You need to have additional sources of income. Don't count on what you thought you used to count on. Bankruptcies are soaring. In fact, they are double. Yes, double. 70-year-old working for less money, having to go back to work, trying to figure out what she's going to do, and all of a sudden, what happens? We have a 204% increase in bankruptcies from 65 to 74-year-olds. We have a 2/3 increase in bankruptcies from 55 to 65-year-olds, 64-year-olds. Okay, now let's be clear on this. You're 55 years old. What are you spending money on? Why are there more people filing bankruptcies? What's happening? Student loans. You promised little Susie she can go to any school. Just listen, I went to Stanford. My grandfather went to Stanford. You went to USC. I went to USC. Doesn't matter. If you get in, we're paying for it. All right, so fine. She gets in. Oh, we forgot to save money because, we bought a new house. We needed the new floors. We got the backyard. Oh, we were saving money for your college, but the stock market dropped and we got scared and we lost, everything. But those folks didn't stop. What they said was, don't worry, we'll take out loans. Student loans are at 1.5 trillion. Trillion. The entire budget of the United States government, everything, social programs, the defense, education, yeah. It's currently being held the same dollar in student loans. So I can tell you this. I don't think student loans are ever going to be paid back. I think You 20-year-olds think that you deserve to have a free education, even though, you partied on many Friday nights and Saturdays, and you thought you were supposed to, take your student loan money and go to Vegas or buy a car, and right? Everybody knows the stories. It's kind of a wink and a nod. People know that you didn't take your student loan money and buy textbooks and lab supplies and parking. They know you did all sorts of things with it. And when you come to the rest of the people and say, you guys are going to have to pay for me to get a free education, we know what you did with your student loan money. We know you didn't just, oh gosh, I was just trying to get that degree in mathematics so I could teach underprivileged children. Okay, I'm certain some of you are that way. But just take a look at any school, go by any place, and you will see what happens in spring break. Do you think the money comes from air, or do you think they use some of their student loan money? I don't know. I'm guessing you're probably pretty smart and can probably figure it out. And then you go to the rest of the folks and say, you're going to have to pay more in taxes. Why? Because a 26-year-old can't get a job in feminine studies of 18th century African art through studies of European interculture of anthropology. What the heck? What? No, before you get a degree, before you study that, it is your responsibility as a student to find out if you can even get a job in that. And if you can't, then spend your own money. My goodness, I want you to do well. You worked all summer, spend your money on every kind of weird and obscure degree in studies, Chicano studies with a history of love it. But if you can't get a job in that field, then why should you get student loans in that field? Because you're asking other people to pay for you, and you're asking retirees who are filing bankruptcy at record level to sacrifice their retirement with higher taxes, higher fees, and higher student loan costs for their children. And why do you think they have record levels of bankruptcy? Because they just bought too many purses or cars or boats? I don't know. Probably not. My only guess, because of the age bracket, is that's the age when our kids go off to get degrees. Grad school, undergrad. You have 2 or 3 or 4 children. All of them are going to college because that's what they were told to do. Everybody goes to college. Why? Go to college. I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Go to college. Okay. Here's my solution. I got a great idea. And because this stuff is recorded forever, it will be here, which means when they implement my idea, you can call it the Arif idea. You ready? It's the solution. It's really simple. You go to these colleges and you say, folks, in 3 years, here are the rules. Give them a little time, maybe 2 years, maybe 4 years, something like that. You say, here are the rules. If you are an institution for higher learning, you have a choice. We will give student loans for the next 5 years in these areas of study. Federal student loans, where taxpayers are going to pay for it. And I don't know, let's just say mathematics, science, technology, engineering, STEM. Right? We've already identified it. Computers. That's what the society is willing to go in and rob from the future to give to you today so that you can go get a degree. We're willing to do that. An institution, if you want to give a college degree in something other than that society doesn't have a need for in any source of abundance, then this is what we do. You say institution, you give the loan. You go through the same financial FAFSA form, and you say, I don't know, let's say I'm Stanford University. I'd say, okay, I have $1 billion to give away this year. So I am willing to go to each student and say, what were your grades? Okay, I'm willing to accept you. What were yours? What was your attendance? What is your citizenship? The same kind of admission that you guys do now. Except you ask them, how much can you guys afford to pay? Oh, $1,000 per semester? Well, then that's what you pay. The college pays the rest, and the student owes the college. Now, if the college says, you're not a good investment, we're not going to invest in you. Or the college says, sorry, we don't think that you can make any money in some obscure degree, then they're not going to give you a loan. But Arif, that means nobody's going to study anthropology of 18th century. Well, yes, they can. They can use their own money. Go back to work. Work 3 jobs. Take 7 years to get a 4-year degree, but have 0 student loan debt. I'm okay with that. Oh, but Arif, the college has great professors. Fantastic. Then they can write the check. Now listen, student, you're going to be owing that college for the next 5 or 10 years, 20 years, whatever you've worked out with them, whatever your personal arrangement is. But society can no longer afford to give money for you to go to college, to get a degree making $12 an hour at your coffee shop. 14, 15. We can't afford it. There's just not enough people. Do you understand that? There's not enough jobs in your field. You can always go to school and get whatever degree you want. Just you pay for it. Oh, but what about poor people? That doesn't give them a chance. Yeah, I think poor people, some of them are smart to have the government pay for them to go where? STEM, science, technology, engineering. But Arif, I want to be in radio. I want to be in the tech booth, right? I have a son that wants to do arts, what is it, performing audio, visual arts, whatever that's called. Great. He's not going to get student loans. He has to work. We have to pay for it. If he doesn't get a job in that field, it's my bad. It's my money that's not yours. Why would I ask you to pay for my son to get a job in a field that may not pay anything? Maybe he's not going to be good at it. Maybe he's going to be great. You wouldn't do it in any other industry. And it puts colleges on notice. Stop putting out a crummy product. Stop spending money that folks are mortgaging the rest of their life for so that you can have an amazing gymnasium, a spa, a swimming pool that looks like an Olympic size Ritz-Carlton, butler services, puppy rooms, cry rooms, emotional support centers. You want to spend your money there, you can do it. But don't take taxpayer money. Do you understand this is important? Oh, Arif, you're heartless. No. $1.5 trillion. You can like the idea, you cannot like the idea. But 1 + 1 is still 2, and we have $1.5 trillion in debt that we have messed up on already, so we have to change. And if you're not willing to step up, then when the collapse, not if, when the collapse comes, do you realize it's going to be very, very bad? And if you're the one left holding the bag, if you're like the 66% increase of folks between the ages of 55 and 64 filing bankruptcy, or 200%, that means it doubled of the amount of people filing bankruptcy that are retired, that are seniors. You guys, do you understand they're still paying for these student loans for themselves, their kids, their grandkids? I think that's a huge part of it. The other part is there's a lonely feeling. You've heard me talk about that. We're going to come back in just a minute. We're going to continue with some of the things that I think we have to plan for. Look, we're going to switch gears a little bit too. How are we going to retire and not be broke? Can you do it on $1 million? I know that sounds like a lot of money, but you're going to have to live a long time on that $1 million. Is there a way to do it? And the answer is yes. It's all on how you spend your money. When we come back, how do you retire on $1 million? How long will it last? We've got some ideas, some tips and tricks for you on your place for News Talk and Information. Hey, folks, give me a call, by the way. You can reach out to us at 888. That's 888-99-RETIRE, 888-997-3847. We'll be right back.
Little Eye Leaders is the newest preschool in the Santa Clarita Valley. At Little Eye Leaders, our outstanding teachers lead with intellect, perspective, and heart. That means our programs provide a warm, nurturing atmosphere to meet the unique needs of each child. We believe that play is a powerful form of learning for young children. That's why our kids have every opportunity to learn through the magic and excitement of play. Parents, schedule a tour today by calling 303-0400 or online at littleeyeleaders.org.
Join City of Hope today in the fight against cancer. Make a difference by participating in City of Hope's Together for Hope, presented by Antelope Valley Hospital and High Desert Medical Group on Saturday, September 15th. Be a part of this inaugural event in partnership with City of Hope Antelope Valley and show your support toward groundbreaking research to treat and cure cancer. They welcome everyone to their 2K walk, 5K run in honor of the individuals in our lives affected by cancer. City of Hope, the miracle of science with soul. Join the movement today by registering at togetherforhope.org.
Hey, this is Ellen Kay, and did you know Exer More Than Urgent Care is open daily in Stevenson Ranch? Exer is the ER alternative that's built and staffed by ER doctors. With on-site lab, x-ray, and pharmacy, Exer has more medical services than a typical clinic. Walk in and be seen in minutes. Open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. For more information, just go to exerurgentcare.com. That's EXERurgentcare.com.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the total financial hour. Now
Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for staying with us. If you were with us the first part of the hour, a little bit of sometimes a difficult conversation, right? When you have to have it with your friends, family, even with yourself. And really, it's about helping yourself get out of debt, manage money, plan for the future. You're going to do so in a couple of ways. Number one is I want you to save and plan for your retirement. I want you to think about yourself in such a way as how do you build the idea to never run out of money. Now, maybe the $1 million might not seem like a lot. Maybe that's the number that some of you go, oh, we already reached that a while ago. Okay. And for others of you, maybe you say that's an impossible number. But they didn't have a show that said who wants to be a millionaire by, I don't know, by mistake, right? Or become $1 million. There's not a 3 millionaire. There isn't a 2 millionaire. It's called a millionaire, right? Now there's billionaire, but that's a long ways off. So how do you retire on $1 million? Well, the theory goes behind something like this. $1 million in nest egg can generate between $40,000 and $50,000 a year, and adjusted for inflation, and basically that can last forever. Add in there Social Security of $1,400, $1,500 a month. You're somewhere around $55,000, $60,000 a year. So can you live on $5,000 a month? Now think of it this way. Is your house paid off? That's a good way to, a good tool to measure. Oh, how about this? Do you not have any credit card debt? You're pretty good with that. How about this? Are you able to have, something to do for fun? I don't know, maybe part-time work. I don't care. You make $1,000 a month. Even if it's just doing something, you have to stay busy, right? Because if you don't stay busy, nobody's going to care about you. You're going to wake up one morning and go, wait, I have no purpose. So I need you to think about this. $1 million, by the time you add Social Security, if you have a little pension and you're blessed with that, gosh, you know what, guys? You could be somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000, $60,000, even $70,000 a year. And this changes a lot because your family doesn't want you to be a burden to them. You don't want to be a burden to them. So here's some tips. One thing is to do this. For most of you, if you're listening and you own a house, you probably have a lot of equity, unless you just purchased it, of course. So that's important because if you retire outside of California, then there's a great chance, or even, inland, right? If you go to San Bernardino or maybe even Palm Springs, some of the outskirts there, maybe Northern California, Lake Shasta, North Napa, outside of certainly wine country by 30, 40, 50 minutes, minus the fires. Right? If you're in some of those areas, if your goal is to stay inside California, you can do that. And you can do it by selling your house, paying cash for the house that you buy, and never worrying about money ever again. Now, are you going to be able to eat out fancy restaurants every night? Probably not. Probably not. Are you going to be able to, buy a new car every 6 months, every 2 years? Probably not. You may have to think a little bit harder before you shop, right? Instead of today, income comes in, the debit card works, and you just swipe it. All right, but what if we just think a little bit beyond that? What if you just think life, lifestyle, experiences? Those things are just a little bit more important. If you're going to work a little bit to stay busy, stay physically fit, stay mentally fit, right? For a lot of us, it's not just physical, it's mental. Because most retirees are not going to have certain costs. What are they not going to have? You're not going to have costs like back and forth to work. You're not going to have a separate work wardrobe. You know, I wear a shirt and tie and suits to work. That's my uniform 5-6 days a week. All right, we work hard. This is the working years of my life. Well, can you imagine what my dry cleaning bill is? Right? You're not going to have that. Whatever uniform, whatever you go to work, you're going to have normal, regular clothes you can wash in the washer machine. That saves a lot of money. You know, lunches, those power lunches, 40. It used to be, remember this? Remember this? See if I take you way back, like, 5 years ago. Remember this? $5 for breakfast, $7 for lunch, $10 for dinner. That's what it used to be. Try to have breakfast for $10. Really. See if you can even have breakfast for $10. Try to go out to dinner with you and your significant other. Maybe you have a glass of wine. You know, they're not cheap. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have appetizers. Maybe you just have a salad along with your meal. See if you can get out of there for less than $50 a couple. When you add a 10%, basically a 10% sales tax in this state, and now some of these restaurants, folks, I need you to protest this because this is ridiculous. Some of these restaurants are putting service charge, a healthcare fee, right? We add a healthcare cost. What? What do you mean healthcare cost? I got to pay for your employees' healthcare? Just put it into the price. I'll say, yes, I want to spend that for a hamburger, or no, I don't. You don't give me a choice when you tack it on the back end. It's like a sneaky little, I don't know. You feel like you're doing something wrong. But add all those funny little fees, and look how many times people are going to say, I'm going to keep eating at your restaurant even while I'm retired. So over and over again, you're going to see folks that say, I can be comfortable living on less. Now, that has never been my philosophy. My philosophy is always, instead of cutting coupons, I think, why not just work an extra job or work an extra hour of overtime? That's been my philosophy. Doesn't mean it's correct. But I've always been able to say, hey, listen, now my wife is the other side, right? She'll cut coupons or save, or she'll look for discounts. She's more conscious, frugal in that world. I'll say, I can work an extra day or a week. And when I worked at a job where I had an hourly wage, I said, I'll work overtime for 3 days this month. So no matter what position you're in, whether you say I can work a little more, or I'm willing to cut back my lifestyle, or I'm willing to keep the lifestyle but look for coupons and discounts. And today, everything is online. Today, you can get discounts at enormous rates. And you could say, I'm willing to not cut back on golf. We have a client that lives out in Scottsdale. When we meet on the phone pretty regularly. He used to live here in the Lancaster area. And oh my gosh. So we go over his budget, make sure, do you need more money from the accounts? How you doing? What are we trying to do each and every 4, 5, 6 months? And I said, so how's things going? And his wife, we were on a speakerphone, and his wife says, tell him how much your golf budget is each month. I said, uh-oh, you're begging the question. How much is your golf budget each month? Well, Arif, you're not going to want to know about this because I said, well, how much? How much do you, I don't know what, a guy who can golf 3 or 4 days a week, I don't have that privilege, but I don't know, how much does that cost? Well, Arif, when we golf, became a member, so it was a big up, right? So when you start doing that, you know that they're trying to justify their response. So I'm sitting there smiling. And he said, well, I joined as a member, and as a member, I get a discount each time I golf, although it was a high upfront cost. Okay, so I took money from our savings to put it as a budget. But then, I get, when I do, Jim, just how much are you spending per month on golf? It's $800, but what it really means, I said, $800? He said, yeah, but that doesn't include when we golf at other golf clubs. So that means there's a hobby that he has that is $800 a month. We have to budget for that. Because do you think he just gets to spend $800, take that from his retirement account? No. He's in the Arizona tax bracket, which is a lot less than California, but he still has to pay federal tax. That means he has to take out, $1,200? Pulls $1,200 from his retirement accounts, or about $14,000 per year. The $14,000 per year comes out, he gets to spend $800 a month. So that's an extra $14,000 that can't be for food, shelter, clothing. Now, look, they were fortunate. They were blessed. He was smart enough to save his money all these years, and we did good. We never lose it. Look, Total Financial Solutions, we're not experts in a lot of things except one thing, savings and protection of your money. Our job is safety. It's protecting what you have earned. We're never going to make you rich, but we're going to keep you from being broke. Any broker, any stockbroker person, Arif, you don't want to tie up your money. You don't want to lock up your money. I go, whoa, back up. Don't you lock up your house when you leave? Don't you want to lock in your gains when the market goes up? Instead of go, we're rich, we're poor. Hey, the market's up, I made money. Oh, market's down, I lost money. Wouldn't it be nice to lock in your gains every time? I'll tell you what, don't you lock your car even when you're in a pretty safe neighborhood? Wouldn't you want to lock up and protect some of your retirement account where you could get reasonable gains, have consistent strategic earnings that come into your retirement account or come into your bank account each and every month? That's what Total Financial Solutions does. If there's a broker out there that says they can make you rich, ask them two questions. Number one, is your mom and dad wealthy? And number two, are you wealthy? Because if he's a decent person, he'd make sure they're wealthy first and then himself. And if he says, I'm working on it, go, whoa. So that means you're not wealthy, but you said you can make people wealthy. So I don't understand it. How about you just say what look, the financial world, Wall Street's job is to keep your money. It's not necessarily to make you money. If their job is to make you money, then that's the only time they would get paid, right? You get paid for your job. So whatever your job is, you get paid for. I don't care. Whatever it is. Mowing lawns, you get paid to mow lawns. If I get paid to mow lawns and I wash your car, I'm not paid to wash your car because that's not my job. Unless you tell me, oh, by the way, I will pay you to wash the car. Now that's my job. So what are they paid for? Are they paid when they make you money, or are they paid when they keep your money? And that is a very difficult conversation because a lot of them are really good guys who kind of bought into a system that says your job is just to go out and collect accounts and, we manage it and we have a strategic and we have... So what about your actual account? What happens if the market goes up? Do you get to make money? Maybe. So just keep yourself from going backwards. Because the last thing you want is a stock market correction, which means you made money, right? That means correction means it's going backwards, like you're not supposed to make money. That's bad for you to make money. And they say, okay, well, the stock market correction, just ask, if my account goes up, do I get to keep the gains? Well, only if you sell. Okay, then I'm happy. Unless, simple enough, guys, unless when the market goes backwards, you lose your money, you have to ask, did you still get paid? Because if your job was to make me money, did you still get paid when the stock market is down, when my accounts are negative? For the day, for the week, for the month? And if you did, then why am I paying you? You don't have to be a jerk about it. You can just say, look, it just doesn't seem right. It just seems like I'm paying for something I'm not receiving. All right? So here's an important start to the next step that I think is pretty important. You need to ask yourself, for a lot of you, are you going to retire in California? You ready? I'm going to give you a list of the states, the 5 best states where you can retire on $1 million and how long. Okay, so in other words, how long is $1 million going to last if you retire without a whole lot of other income? In other words, maybe nothing in Social Security, just this. Number 1, believe it or not, is Mississippi. It'll last over 25, almost 26 years. 26 years, you could retire in Mississippi. Oklahoma, Michigan, Arkansas, and Alabama all come in about 24 years. Okay? Mississippi, Oklahoma, Michigan, Arkansas, Alabama. Oh, Arif, I like the beach. Alabama's right on the sea. Michigan has a great, multiple lakes. Right? Mississippi, right on the sea, right on the Gulf of Mexico, right? So, I like the mountains. Arkansas has amazing mountains. Mississippi, there's some mountains there. So ask yourself this. At least if I live in one of the 5 worst states, maybe you might have to move. Because they really make things worse here, right? Worst state to live, if you have $1 million, is Hawaii. It's only going to last 11, almost 12 years, 11 years, 8 months. So from 25 years to 11 years. Hawaii, you get to live 11 years. Now, it's going to be pretty amazing 11 years, except when it's hot and humid in the summer. But so are these other states. Number 2, California. California, it's going to last about 15 years. Number 3, New York, Alaska, and Maryland, who are all 16 years. So that means if you want to live in Maryland, California, New York, Alaska, Hawaii, those are the worst states to live in if your goal is to be able to live on $1 million. Whether you inherit money, whether you sell your house, whether you bought a rental property for $180,000 and you sold it for $600,000, so you have some money there, you have some money from your retirement account, right? For a lot of people, you're putting pieces together as we get older. As we get closer to retirement, it's usually not one big chunk of money. So consider, there is a reason why people leave the state of California when they retire. It's not my choice. I don't think it's right? For a lot of you guys, you get pretty angry. And I kind of don't blame you. Because in a place like California where you're born and raised, I was born and raised, born in Hollywood. Can't get more LA than that, or more California than that, I guess. And yet, you have one political party that's pushing through all of their crazy ideas. Right next door, banning straws. Really? We have homeless people on the street, and you're going to spend energy banning straws? And the moment anybody says, what are you doing this for when we have this problem over here? You go, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Great. Then do it. Do both things at the same time. Fix the problem, the homeless problem. Right? You've heard me say this before. Symbolism over substance. I want to look like I'm busy instead of being productive. There's a difference. Right now we're spending all this time worried about, plastic bottles and look, I get it. Okay, so there are problems. But that's number 75 on a list of, oh my gosh, we have human beings that are hurt. We have human beings on the street. We have drug addiction. We have families we have women having kids from 2 and 3 and 4 dads and babies without fathers. We have young girls and young men who are physically well to work and they're homeless and they're on the street because of drugs. Why? And you want to ban a straw? Do you understand? Look, travel the world. They laugh at that. Travel the country. Go to the Midwest. There's a reason that when they say California is the land of nuts, it's not because we have great almonds up in the Central Valley. It's because they think you're crazy for what you're doing. And everybody goes, oh, yeah. I feel good that we're banning straws and plastic this. And we have, we keep raising the age for a kid to be in a car seat of, down to, 17 years old, they're still in a car seat or something. Right? Do something about these are real human beings on the street. You guys, do you understand that? Do you think your retirement account isn't going to be taxed? They're not going to take some of it to solve a problem that they created? They created it so badly when Governor opened up all of these jails and makes it like virtually not even a crime anymore to steal from somebody. And then all of a sudden, we're going to ban a magazine or a gun. Or Come on. Some of you are going to have to step up because it's getting kind of silly. You know, it was humorous for a while, but it's kind of passing that. When you drive in downtown LA or you drive through the wash in Santa Clarita, walk through the bike path, right? When you bike through it, you go a little faster. So walk through when you get a chance to look around. There's full villages. This is like the Great Depression, grapes of wrath. Remember when the Oklahoma folks had to leave, Okies, right? They called them, had to leave because the Dust Bowl, and they couldn't, and they had all these makeshift shanty towns built. What is the difference? The difference is we are the most prosperous country at a time where we are the most prosperous nation ever. So it can't be about jobs and money because there are unlimited jobs. We need people to work. So if it's not about being in a bad country, if it's not about being in a bad time, if it's not about being in a bad economy, if it's not about being in a bad there are no jobs, then what can it be? Oh, I know. Let's just maybe think it's the social baloney. Right? You guys, somebody's got to stand up for these people. And one voice can only do so much. Giving them $1 or a sandwich or a cold bottle of water is kind. But it only makes you feel better, not them. Doesn't. We want to change the world. You're going to have to do it differently. They're going to go after your retirement accounts. You just watch. Because you're the only one with money. Right? The government is in debt. The state of California is virtually broke. They lie about their budget. What a joke. City of Santa Clarita has some money, but you really think that they're not going to go after you with money? You own real estate, you own property. That's the only way they're going to pay for this mess that gets worse and worse and worse every few months. Not every years, but every few months. So you got to step up. Because nobody else cares. Right? Everybody's busy. They feel good. We banned a straw. I signed a petition. You know, I gave $1 to the homeless guy outside of Trader Joe's. I feel better. How about you say, hey, buddy, get a job? Oh, Arif, you don't understand. That's so mean. No, really. Clean up the streets. That's a good start. We'll be back in just a minute. Total Financial Hour. Arif Halaby on your place for News Talk and Information. You have something to say? Give me a call at 888-99-RETIRE. I'd like to hear from you. 888-997-3847. That's 888-997-3847. I'm Arif Halaby on your place for News Talk and Information. This is your hometown station, KHTS.
I've been into cars ever since I was 6 years old. I helped my dad build race cars in our driveway.
Dave Reeves, owner of Reeves Complete Auto Center.
I love cars. I've been in automotive service my whole life. I ran my dad's wrecking yard and rear-end shop, managed several auto repairs until I opened my own auto repair facility.
Reeves, on Ruther in Canyon Country.
I learned customer service and honest communication make the difference.
Reeves, your complete auto service center.
Call Reeves at 252-1400.
Hi, it's Ashley with Waste Management. Have you ever heard the phrase, one bad apple spoils the bunch? The same is true for recycling. One non-recyclable item can spoil an entire load of otherwise good material. This may seem like a small issue, but it represents a huge problem that's preventing tons of recyclables from ever seeing a second life. Working together, we can do better by following 3 simple rules. Recycle all bottles, cans, cardboard, glass, and paper. Keep items clean and dry, and no plastic bags in the recycling. For more recycling tips, follow us on Twitter at WM_SoCal.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Hey there, I'm Tori with your hometown station weather. An excessive heat warning is in effect till 8 p.m. Sunny skies today with a high of 107. Clear tonight with a low of 72. Sunny and 100 for tomorrow, and more of the same on Thursday. The 7th annual Comics for the Cause at the PAC, Wednesday, August 14th. One night only. Some of the best names in comedy come together to make you laugh and raise awareness for the Youth Project. Visit helpnothassle.org.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the total financial hour. Now higher income strategy. Learn from Arif Halaby. Learn about financial power, the total financial hour. Now Arif has a plan for me. Higher income strategy.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Thanks for staying with us. Hey, that's the great voice, smooth voice of Jimmy Carnelli. Always appreciate him. You might have heard me say this, but I think he sounds more like Frank Sinatra than Frank Sinatra. Just saying. If you have a chance to ever listen to him, he's one of my favorites. Okay, so let's talk about, as we finish up this hour of the program, you don't have to retire broke. That's really the bottom line here. I want you to remember that retiring isn't just about waiting to die in a rocking chair, right? It used to be that families were very close together. Grandma lived downstairs, grandpa lived upstairs, whatever it was, and your job was to go to work, and you'd say, go down to your grandparents, and I'm going to go to the store. So they had a purpose. They were always there for guidance. You know, Mom, can I talk to you? I got a question. And they were there for guidance. They were there for assistance with the children. They were there for assistance in the household chores, whatever their capabilities were. Today, where they live in other parts of the country, let alone even the city, right? It's difficult. And so as a retiree, they're certainly much more active. You know, my grandmother on my mother's side, I never remember her without white hair. And I was the first grandson of my mom, who was the first to have grandkids in the family. And, you know, I think she was in her mid-40s when I first have memories of her. And she just always seemed to move and act older than I just always thought a grandma was supposed to be that way. And today we have clients come in, and certainly they might get their hair done, and they are in Zumba and Pilates classes and bike riding. And you say, gosh, these folks are 20 years older than I remember my grandmother. And they're more fit. They're younger looking. They're more active. They have a more social life that's outside of the family, the kids, and helping out with chores around the house. So expect that to be your future. I think that's, of course, the trend, and it's not going anywhere, I think, than that way. That means this. One, you probably won't stop working for money. You just might change jobs. And we saw this the other day. We had a client come in, and she's going to retire at 59 years old. So she's going to retire. I said, so what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to still work. I go, but you're going to... Well, she's been in a high-pressure job for 32 years. Rose up to a mid-level executive, fairly powerful, very good income, but a lot of pressure. And it's time for her to do something else. Her child is grown, doesn't need her anymore for the day-to-day things that a normal child might need a parent at a younger age, right? He's now in his 20s. What is she going to do? So for her, it's about having some income to live the same lifestyle come from her retirement accounts, but not all of it. And we're not going to turn on Social Security for a long time because there's no need to, because she's going to be working. Let's let it continue to grow past age 62, 63, 4, 5, until the time comes when she says, okay, now I'm ready for it. But you're going to use income to turn on at different phases, and the reason for that is simple. One is you don't want to pay taxes on money you don't need. Two is you don't want to be in a position to where when the market goes down, you're taking out money from your retirement accounts, meaning you have to sell stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever it is, but at a lower price, right? Because they're worth less, not worthless, but worth less money. So they've gone down in value. So for you to get the same dollar figure, you have to sell more of them. So I don't want you to be in a position to say, well, I guess this is my life. I'm going to run out of money 5 years sooner than I thought because I didn't time the market just right. Forget it. We have safer and more secure options where we can get in and sit down and go over the choices and the options to reduce the cost of money that you could lose. It's too difficult to make money back when you're 70 years old. And because that first 10 years of retirement is usually involving activities, going out, hobbies, the show, traveling, do the math. If you can default, in my opinion, right? This is Arif Halaby's opinion. If you can default on having enough money to retire, but to do it a little sooner rather than later, in my opinion, sooner is better. Because there are plenty of ways to cut back later, right? Whether you sell your big home and move to a small home, sell your small home, move to a condo, sell your condo and move to a mobile home. There's plenty of ways to downsize your life when you're not going to need all 15 rooms in your home, right? 3,000 square foot houses were normal 15, 18 years ago when we were buying our house, because you had children and they were just building these mega houses all up through to Sorrow and Copper Hill and Fair Oaks, right? Well, now the kids have grown. So maybe you don't need a 3,800 square foot house. Maybe it's time to reduce. But you can't get back time. So focus on that. I want you to enjoy life. I want you to get out, have experiences. You're probably going to work part-time a little bit anyway. You probably have options. But make sure some or part of your money is safe. If you want to keep it safe, that's what we do. Yeah, I wouldn't put it all in one place. I wouldn't put it all in safety. I wouldn't put it all at risk. But for most of you, you have everything at risk. Oh, Arif, I have stocks and bonds, mutual funds that are stocks. I go, listen, what's the difference? Well, isn't it supposed to be? No. They all can go up and down. If you can lose your principal, I'm not a fan of that. Simple enough. You may not get great rates of return, but you've heard me say it before. My job is not to make you rich. It's to keep you from being broke. If we can keep you from being broke, give you a guaranteed source of income in retirement with cost of living increases and gains to keep ahead of inflation, I love it. I think that's a wise move. If the goal is for you to kind of, I don't know, take a chance, go to Vegas, put it all on red, those are great things. A lot of fun. Take what you can afford to lose. Take that retirement money that says, I'm okay if this never comes back. Right? When you're not a good gambler, this is what you say. When you don't win, here's a tip. If you find yourself saying things, like I go to Vegas and I spend money because it's entertainment. Okay. You're probably not a gambler who wins. You're a gambler who spends. Nothing wrong with it. But just don't take your mortgage payment. Don't take your property taxes, because chances are you probably won't come back with it, right? And there's enough of you out there that understand entertainment doesn't just come from spending money. It comes from experiences. Keep in mind that experiences are things that don't have to cost lots of money, right? Go back to the time when you were dating. Right? I remember being broke. I remember looking through the ashtray and finding like 75 cents, which was enough with my other money to get the 2-for-$1 menu at the local, kind of not really Mexican restaurant. Right? You could get the 2 tacos for $1, whatever it was. And we'd go to the top of a parking structure and we'd sit on the tailgate and you'd see the stars. And that would be our candlelight dinner. You can be simple. I still remember that. I don't remember all of the fancy times, but I do remember those. Because they were experiences that didn't have to cost a lot of money, but they were great. So you can continue those through retirement. You don't have to spend lots of money. And don't forget, retire a little earlier is always a little better, in my opinion. Thanks for listening. I'm Arif Halaby. You can be with us every week at this time on your place for news, talk, and information. This is the Total Financial Hour. On your hometown station, I'm Arif Halaby, 888-99-RETIRE on KHTS.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM.